I talk about his technique. I mean, that was one of the things in the profile in the Santa Monica Daily Press that you mentioned. It just didn't seem like he had much training at all.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I saw him in spring football, I was curious to see. Here's this guy who's worked so hard in the weight room. He's a big, strong guy, and we go to one-on-ones, and it's offensive line versus defensive line, and he gets into his set. He looks a little uncomfortable because he's just learning how to really get into a set, and the defensive lineman gets off the ball and he grabs him and throws him to the ground in a bear hug. And I was like, everybody's not sure what to make of it. If you've grown up in the United States, you have some sort of idea on what offensive line play looks like. And for him to just throw him down like a sumo wrestler, I said, okay, that's good aggressiveness. We can work with this, but we have a long way to go in technique-wise. And I really credit Coach Benuelos for working with him. People have been impressed by how good a technician he is for a guy who's really played 2 years of football. So I credit Coach Benuelos and also Alexander for just being receptive to coaching and learning the skills of the game.
Yeah, Cheech, you're laughing about thinking back on there. What do you think? How do you compare your game to when you got here till 2 years later?
I mean, it was just, I don't know, it was just horrible. It was so bad. Right now when I'm thinking, how was it? It's just, I mean, there was a huge change, and yeah, I'm thankful for coaches for helping me, and
You signed right after or in late December, but you're not on UCLA campus yet.
Not yet. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there March 29.
Okay, so you're still over at SMC. So you haven't had an opportunity to go with a strength training coach. You haven't been ever working out on there, have you?
I'm not allowed yet, but I'm receiving information for lifting information, what exercise to do. But I'm invited to go there every time I want because I was there 5 times. So I always talk with coaches. They're really friendly. So.
Yeah. How much of the history do you know about UCLA? Because we joked when Norm Chow came here and made you an offer, you didn't actually know who he was.
Yeah, I mean, after Norm Chow, I was researching a little bit, so I knew there were a lot of great coaches, and Norm Chow was one of them. And Coach Mora, I think is going to change a lot in the history of UCLA. So.
They've talked to you about possibly moving over from tackle to guard.
Yeah, I mean, I told him as soon as I'm one of those 5 people who's going to be in the offensive line starting in the field, I'm going to be happy. So it doesn't really bother me. As long as I'm one of those on the field. So.
How much of an adjustment is that, Coach Giff, to move from the tackle to the guard position?
Well, it's slightly different, but I think that Cheech has a rare combination. He's a rare skill set of being strong and athletic, and I really think his best football is ahead of him, and he has the right mentality. It doesn't matter where you play; it's a matter of competing, being able to get on the field and get an opportunity to play, whether it's a tackle or a guard position. I think it's a little different, but I really think that with the coaching he's going to get at UCLA and Coach Moore and Coach Mazzoni and his staff and Coach Clem, that I really think the best football is ahead of him, whether it's a guard or tackle. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, Coach, if you had one of the most successful seasons here at Santa Monica College, talk about sort of the level of play that he played against during the 2 years here.
Yeah, I mean, JC football in Southern California is no joke, and I think that he started here from day one as an offensive lineman, so he played in 21 games. He wasn't hurt, and he played against high-level competition, guys who are going all over the country to play football. But he rose to the challenge. Obviously, it's not the caliber of what he's going to see in the Pac-12, but I think he's ready to take on that challenge. There'll be an adjustment process for sure, but we're excited for him to be in spring football and go through that adjustment.
He said, how helpful was it the fact that he started his whole time here?
Well, I think every rep the guy takes, he gets better and better. When guys saw him in spring, everybody's really intrigued by him. And then, to see him go, even the jump he made from spring to summer to fall, in order to get from a guy who really hasn't played any football to UCLA or an offer from Arkansas in the SEC, one of the top 10 teams in the country, you're looking at a guy who has moved at an incredibly fast rate in terms of his his body and learning the game. You know, one of the questions was, can he the terminology, will it affect him, the language of the game? And absolutely not. I mean, Ceachir, he gets it, he understands it, and I think it shows up in how he's gotten so good so quick.
I want to go back to you, Ceachir. Have you had a chance to meet any of the other recruits who signed or moving over?
I mean, I have met recruits, but I don't really remember their names. Yes, yeah, but I have met a lot of recruits, and obviously they're all talented people. Because if you're not talented, you won't be invited to go to an official visit. So, yeah, everyone is is unique.